Today I'm going to help you answer the question, should I buy a used Acura? Now Acuras, being fancy Hondas, they're pretty well made cars, but like any other car, they have a certain lifespan to them. And in the case of this 1999 Acura CL, it led a pretty tough life. It's the two-door sports version, not the four-door. And under the hood, it's got the V6 engine. And as you can see and hear, still got a lot of metal. This isn't plastic, this is all metal. They were certainly more solid built back in the day. Not all the plastic crap that modern cars have on it. Now this version does have the automatic transmission. But truth be told, back in 1999, the Acura automatic transmissions were pretty reliable. I had customers get hundreds of thousands of miles out of them. But that said, this used one has 150,000 miles on it. Seats are in pretty good shape, but you can see the leather armrest has seen better days. And the windshield's got a giant crack in it. And someone's tried to make it look race spiffy with this matte black paint. But look at the wheels. Somebody just spray painted these things black. The old chrome is underneath. It's pretty pitted up, but from far away it looks okay. If you get close, it looks pretty crappy. And when you look closer here, you can tell the thing's been in numerous wrecks. Body panels don't fit that well anymore. You can see overspray from when they sprayed it. Now with such a bizarre paint job, the first thing you want to check is, what was the original color? And they always say on the door, NH592P is the exterior color. Look it up in your phone for Acura paint colors. It's a metallic black. This isn't the original black, but at least it's black. For my advice, never buy a car that was one color and was repainted another, because they end up looking like crap every time somebody dings the door, rock hits something, the old paint shows through and it looks horrible. At least it was black. It's a different color black now, but at least it started out as black too. And even though it's obviously been wrecked a few times, you can see that the AC condenser is straight. It's not bent from massive wrecks. And the radiator part goes pretty good. But you'll notice this has new radiator fans in it. Both of them are brand new. When you see stuff like that on a used car, you want to take it for a good long road test, both for 10-20 minutes in traffic, stop and go, and on a highway. And if you see anywhere you drive, the temperature gauge starts to rise higher, don't buy the car. It's got an overheating problem. Somebody tried putting new fans in to fix it. That didn't fix it. So anytime you see something like that, make sure you road test it for quite some time to see if it has any overheating problems, because it does, you don't want to buy it. Now in this case, the customer didn't pay that much money for the vehicle. It's not like he's going to lose a whole bunch of money. He didn't pay anything. He paid less than 1/20th of the original sticker price of this car. And sure, it's got a lousy paint job. I mean, they painted over everything with the black. They didn't mask it all. This is supposed to be chrome here, and they painted the wheels over with it to give it this black look. Basically, at one time, luxurious sports sedan has turned into a rat sports sedan. It's not something you're just going to buy and then drive from Texas to California and back. It's a rat car. But that said, it's a pretty luxurious rat car. How much longer is it going to last? 21 years old, has 150,000 miles. Well, that depends on how you take care of it. It is an Acura, after all, made by Honda. It's not a car you're going to be doing burnouts in. You burn the engine out, you burn the transmission out. But if you drive it conservatively, change the oil regularly, hey, I've seen these things with 200-something thousand miles on it. And realize this particular model, it's got a rubber timing belt, and these are interference engines. If the belt breaks, pistons will hit the valves. The first thing I'd advise doing is, if you don't have records for a car this old, this many miles, change the timing belt and the water pump, because if they break, you can say goodbye engine. Now, I've had customers that bought these things originally and had them for 25 years, and they just gamble and say, Scotty, I've had this car for 25 years. I don't want to spend that kind of money changing the timing belt, the water pump, and all that stuff. I'll just drive until it drops. And sometimes they still go a few more years, and when the belt eventually breaks, then they just junk the car. Because in the case of this rat Acura, it would cost him more to have the timing belt and water pump and pulled replaced than he paid for the car. Which is why, if you're looking at this particular car or any used Acura, you want to give it a good road test first. And if it runs good and shifts good and it's a cheap price and you want to gamble with, hey, maybe I'll get some time out of it, it's a fun car to drive, go right ahead. Just don't go out and buy one of these like one of my customers' high school kids did and thought, oh, he's going to make a drifter car out of it, and then blow the things up in a few months after buying it. Because being an Acura with a big old V6 engine, they will go even when they're old, but then they go until they blow. Now, this particular one is a pretty honest rat car. You can look at it and you can see, hey, it's got a rat paint job. It's not a wolf in sheep's clothing. You can see that it's a rat car, and it didn't cost much money. But don't make the mistake of buying one of these cars and think you're going to turn it into a like brand new car. Put on a $3,000 paint job, soup it all up. It's a rat car, it's made as a rat car, drive as a rat car. Don't throw a whole bunch of money into it because it's not worth it. Basically, you're getting a luxury sports car at a very low price. If you can get even a year or two out of it of good use and drive it conservatively, hey, it could be a fun car. But if after a while it turns into a nightmare car with the engine starting to go or the transmission, don't throw money into it. Then you just said, well, that was fun while it lasted, get rid of it. The indestructibility of the old Camrys. In this case, it's a 93 Camry with a 4-cylinder engine and an automatic transmission. Now it may look a little beat up as we walk around it. And when we look inside, it looks like goats have been chewing on the armrest in the middle. And yeah, the paint's faded. It's got a different door on the gas cap. And here on the taillight, it even says crack. And someone smashed into the trunk. And the electric window doesn't work anymore. And you can see the hood on the driver's side, even though it's closed. Has a big gap from being hit. Where the other side is still relatively normal. But it still runs like a clock. Got 318,000 miles on it. But the air conditioning? It still blows cold as ice. And even though it's only got a 4-cylinder engine and an automatic transmission, look at this. It still takes off like a rocket ship. It's got plenty of acceleration. And sure, it bounces quite a bit when you hit bumps. Well, hey, the shocks and struts are all worn out on it, but it still goes down the highway. Let's take a look under the hood. Now this was a luxury model, so it's got the pneumatic struts to hold the hood up instead of having that little rod on it. And amazingly enough, they still work and hold the hood up. Now you can see my customer's modified it. He's got these giant wires because he put a fancy stereo system on it. But the old Toyota alternator is still good enough to run all that power. Back in '93 when they were making these things, they over-engineered them. So they lasted. And lasted. Kept oil in its 2200cc 4-cylinder engine. They could run forever. This 93's got the original engine, the original transmission, the original air conditioner. I mean, they built those things to last. And sure, maybe they didn't paint them that good in those days. Saw the hood, but hey, it's still running and it's not rusting. It's just corroding. And check this out. Look at the headlamps. 1993. They made them better in those days. Now, when these first came out, I had customers that bought them, and they said, we road tested one, and we thought, oh, it's got a V6 or V8 engine in it. And they opened the hood and see it's only a 4-cylinder engine. That is one well-designed 4-cylinder engine. Now, they didn't sell many of these in the United States with the 5-speed standard transmissions, but years ago, I had a customer special order one, and that thing could burn rubber in all 5 gears. It was an extremely fast car, but it made him mad because back in the day, if you got the standard 5-speed transmission, you couldn't get it with power windows, so he had to buy it with hand crank windows. And he was mad because he wanted power windows, but back then they didn't make them. Now they were a well thought out car too. A cavernous trunk that goes on, and back seats. In a Japanese car back then, they had a lot of room. You didn't feel like you were squeezed into a sardine can. Now sure, this car's seen better cosmetic days, but it still runs like a clock. Heck, I got my youngest son one of these ages ago used. He ran it into walls. He even flattened all the tires one time. But the thing just kept going. Had a lot of dings and ripples in them, and I got a lot of parts from junkyards like hoods and things when he kept breaking them. Now when we go under the car, you can see it's still got some of its plastic pieces. You can take them and throw them away. But the main thing about these are there's big solid metal right here. So even if you went over a speed bump, rather than hitting the bottom of the engine, it would just scrape this part of the frame, which is a great design on these cars. It certainly saved it when my son was driving his. The bottom of that thing, man, it was all scraped, but it hadn't touched the engine or transmission. And a big advantage, even if you own one today, is so many of the parts on them are interchangeable. You can get aftermarket door handles real easy. This has 2 different ones. Well, I had plastic radiators even back then. I had a guy bring one the other day. It took me like 5 minutes on the internet till I found one 3 blocks down the street at an AutoZone. And it cost me less than $100. A whole brand new radiator. They're still cheap to drive and repair. And being that old, the insurance on these things is dirt cheap because, after all, they're just a 4-cylinder engine. I drove one from here to Big Bend where the speed limit's 85 and I went 90. Once I got outside San Antonio and the speed limit went up to 85 the whole way. No problem at all cruising down there and back. Other than having indigestion from eating at a really bad Mexican restaurant near the border. These old Camrys were pretty much indestructible monsters with just a tiny bit of maintenance. This customer brought over the Civic. It's 2002, 18 years old. And the question is, should he get rid of it? Should he fix it? Or should he just drive it till the wheels fall off? Well, I'm going to show you how you can decide. Now, this Honda's a second car for my customer here. He bought a new Honda, and they were going to give him so little for this Honda that was 18 years old, he just decided to keep it. So, he didn't want to put a bunch of money in it, but if it still can go a while, he'll be happy with it. So we'll go inside the car. I flipped my scan tool up. The only codes it has, the engine's okay. It's just got a code, the airbag system, and another one for the EPS system. So, it runs decently. Airbag system, hey, seatbelts work good when you buckle up. And the electronic power steering system, yes, this may be an 18-year-old Honda, but it still has electric power steering. It's just got this code, 221. Excessive change of the vehicle's speed sensor signal. That happens in these. Still steers pretty good. You don't even care about that. So, electronically, mechanically, this thing's in pretty decent shape. And we'll look at the live data just to see if there's anything that looks squirrely. If there's any orange or reds, they're squirrely. Let's go through them. Everything's pretty normal so far. No orange red stuff, blah blah. So, live data's good. Now let's start it up and listen to it. And for the mileage that it has, pretty quiet. It's not making any clacking, no horrible noises. Now we'll check the AC. Still blows freezing cold. Typical Honda, well-made AC. The steering wheel leather's getting a little faded, but the interior still looks pretty good. That's the advantage of cloth interior. Still, it's in pretty good shape. It's even got a sunroof. Now, he was saying it seems to leak some oil. So let's jack it up and see what's leaking. Now we can see the bottom of the engine's got oil, and so does between the engine and the transmission. So I'm going to put some leak dye in this thing. Fluorescent dye oil. Now I ran out of the engine oil. This is for refrigeration systems, but it's an oil. You can pour a little bit in the engine, and then wherever the green comes out, you know that's where the leak is. Just pour it in the engine oil, just a little bit. That's enough. Run the engine a while, maybe half an hour, see where the leaks come out. Then you put on these funky yellow sunglasses, get a UV light, and look for leaks. And I can see 2 of them. One in the front and one in the back of the engine. Which isn't great news, but it's not horrible news either. The front seals are leaking a little, and the rear main seal of the engine is leaking between the engine and the transmission. The rear main seal would require either pulling the engine out or pulling the transmission off. And the front seals would require taking the front of the engine apart and putting new seals in. Really more money you'd want to put into this car, but the owner was complaining, it's not even dripping in my driveway yet. Yeah, he might go through a couple quarts of oil in between oil changes, something like that. I'd advise people to live with or at a bottle of this AT205 reseal. It's a polymer, it can rejuvenate oil seals. You just pour it in the engine, the whole bottle. Just goes right in. It's a polymer. It can rejuvenate the rubber seals. If it works, great. But if not, I wouldn't get rid of this car just because of that. I just add oil and keep driving the thing. Sure, the airbag system doesn't work anymore. Electronic power steering has some minor glitch to it, but it's still a real solid little car with a quiet engine and a standard transmission that can last forever. Now I'll take it for a little spin. Typical Honda. Starts right up. Now it's a Honda Civic, so it's not a race car, but We'll wait till this guy gets out of the way so we don't freak him out. When we give it some gas, it still burns rubber. Yeah, these little Civics, man, they can just tear it up. And it's still got very stable handling and steering. He was whining about the struts, but they're not that bad. It's a bumpy ride, it's a Civic, but man, it can still go. And it still handles, like I said, quite well. Corner's good. It's a Civic. You're gonna feel the bumps. This isn't a luxury car. It's a Civic Si, which is made for sporty driving. I wouldn't get rid of this thing. All in all, it's still a great little car. Yeah, it's 18 years old, but it still runs pretty good. You just forgive the foibles that it has. Don't put a ton of money in it. But on the other hand, don't throw the baby away with the bathwater. It's still a good knock-around car. And being an SI, it's still a pretty stylish car. Yeah, the paint's faded on the back, the plastic spoiler, but what the heck, you can repaint that or paint it black. So now you know the truth about this car. When to hold them, when to fold them. In this case, I definitely hold them. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.